Welcome back to another edition of E-Heroes. For those keeping count, this is actually episode 300, part two, the sequel. Maybe it's 300 Reborn. I don't know. We're just going to give it some name. But in the original 300 with Pauline Longdon that you probably didn't even listen to yet, we talked about keep showing up. But how do you keep showing up? And as what or whom? And so I brought back my awesome friend from over in the UK, Jay Tepley, and
Hello there.
we're going to talk about all kinds of great stuff. And you got a new book, and I know it's not on your shelf; it's just on Kindle right now. So anybody that reads Kindle, go over and I'm scrolling back up to the book because I don't know the complete title.
It's
And
Discover Your Soul Guild.
there you go. So we need to have more idea of who we are, of how we show up, and as what. And as you'll discover as Jay sheds light on everything, is that there are 7 guides. You know, can we be all of them? Maybe. But I think I tend to consider myself a warrior. I don't know. Maybe I'm a lazy warrior lately, but you know, it's going to be a good episode. So take it away, Jay.
All right. Well, it's great to be back. It's been a
You know,
while
we
since we
didn't
last
see you
spoke.
since I think it's been episode 221, so it's been a long time. And but you've cranked out a whole bunch of books, and this new one, the Soul Guides, and I thought I was good at cranking out books, but mm-mm.
Yeah, once you start, it just keeps rolling.
Yeah,
I actually have on my phone because I don't have a printed copy yet myself, but this is what the cover looks like. It's Discover Your Soul Guild and what it means in your life and business. And as you know, I'm a soul purpose mentor for male entrepreneurs. And so what I've realized that it would be super helpful for people to find out what kind of shape or type their soul is. Because, when we try to learn about something in our physical world, I mean, it's super easy when you look at this something. So you can tell, oh, that's a laptop, right? That's a pen. That's a pair of glasses. And so form reveals the function to you. And even if you don't know how to use it, because you know what it is, you can then at least find a manual. And it just becomes a lot easier. Whereas with things like spiritual development, it's less obvious because, well, for one, we're not being told how to do it. And
mhm.
so it's not as complicated and as mysterious as most people think. It's actually quite practical. We just need to learn how to do it. And so I was talking to my students the other day, and one of them said, actually, why don't you just write it down what you're teaching us? I mean, I do. I do. I have 14 books to date. So you can't say that I'm lazy and I slack. But I didn't have that specific book and that specific sphere of knowledge. And so what I did, I wrote it down because once you read through it, there are ways of telling who you are as a soul by what you resonate with the most naturally deep down, and what kind of things really excite you and really make you feel alive. Because quite often we don't actually know what it is we want to do. We know what we don't want to happen and we know what we don't want to do, but very few of us actually have clarity on what it is deep down that excites us. And so this book is a way to give you that clarity.
It's like a manual for life, and I know that's kind of cliche, but most people have no idea what they're doing, and even for
Yes.
me, I've I've been an entrepreneur for 30 years, and it just seems like the game changes all the time. And I have to relearn new stuff. And it's not like I want to learn new stuff. Um, like I said, sometimes I just want to be lazy, you know. And but we can't be. We can't be. We have to continuously move and keep showing up and evolving. And I think I read this new book of yours twice, and
Thank you.
I just had to absorb some of this stuff because yeah, like I said at the very beginning, I tend to think that I'm more of a warrior type. Although as I've gotten older, I've realized that maybe I'm a lot weaker um, than I was before. But I still have that I don't know, that gumption that I just want to go and do something. And but as I slow down though, um, maybe there's other characteristics that you talk about in the book, the warrior, the guardian, the artist, the healer. Maybe I'm starting to become them.
I would say you're more of the minstrel type because look at all the books you have behind you. Warriors don't like writing books. If anything, they will just hire someone to write their biography. That's about it. Or maybe a book about their empire. But they wouldn't be writing so many books to spread a message because for a minstrel, one of the most important values, like core values, is to let people know about something important, is to educate them, is to spread the word. And so if you look in the book, the tagline for minstrels is, hey, you need to hear this.
Mhm.
And so you've been collecting passionately all those stories about people doing, well, quite silly things, really, really funny things, and your amazing replies to that. And so it's not like I remember you shared it online when someone said, "Oh yeah, you're just writing those books for entertainment," and you were like, "No, they're entertaining, but I'm writing them. The real reason is because I want to teach people. I want to spread awareness." And so that's a very minstrel thing to do.
Yeah, it's for me. It was never about money. Yeah, we can write all kinds of books, but if it was always about money, I think I would have stopped the writing a long time ago. I would have gotten my fortune and glory and gone and done something else. But for me, it was always about, what's my legacy? What am I leaving behind? How am I educating the next generation? And what can I teach them?
Yes.
So yeah, I guess, in my mind, I always thought, hey, I'm this tough guy. I'm just kind of like, as I mentioned in the 300th episode part one, I referenced Sparta, the movie, the 300,
Yeah.
and
300
and
Spartans. Yeah.
I just want to charge out at something, but and maybe that was my younger self. And as I got older, I got to put all these adventures down. I got to tell people what I did. And so that I guess my evolution was, you know, deciding at one time, hey, I'm no longer this warrior. I'm now this minstrel telling people, what was happening in my life.
Well, there are different types of warriorships. So now you're not fighting with swords, you're fighting with words.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's I think for a lot of entrepreneurs that is the challenge. How do they get their message across in a way that's going to be entertaining and that's going to, help them, become the authority in what they do? How do you bring
Absolutely.
trust into somebody? Because, you can't always do it as a warrior. You can't just start slicing and dicing. And you got to do it with a pen and paper. And well, I don't even use this much. I'm a keyboard warrior now, I guess.
Well, you know what they say, a pen is mightier than a sword.
Yeah.
So it's there are just different ways of contributing and creating a legacy. And
Mhm.
so I would say this aspect of spiritual warriorship is quite natural, typical for many people who are out there creating businesses. Because I mean, there are different types of businesses, and of course, there are some purely money-making activities, some e-coms, stocks, something like that, for forex trading. But there are people who, I mean, of course, they care about money. If you don't care about money, you can't be in business. But it's not their only motivation. Their true motivation is to make a difference, to inspire people to do something. And these people are minstrels because their work is about spreading awareness. It's about taking humanity one step higher to
Mm-hmm.
something greater that they can see, but not necessarily everyone else can see. And so I would say this kind of a spiritual warriorship is also very important because not everything is done by brute force. Sometimes a right word at the right time can change someone's life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think sometimes the reason I write isn't to change 1,000 people's minds. It's to change one person mind. Give them a direction that they didn't have before. And so that person can go out and spread the word to another one person and another one person. And after a while you have all these people that start to see the light, or at least my version of what I think is the light.
Absolutely.
I'm not out to impress thousands or millions.
There
I
we
mean,
go. That what
I don't want that many followers, honestly. That's too much.
right. Well, you see, that's how to tell that someone is a warrior because they will always be like, I'm here to inspire billions of people to do X. I'm here to change the entire world and have every single person in the world as my follower and build my empire. So they always have megalomaniac ideas like that.
Yeah, I can't act like that. I guess I don't know if I was raised different. I was raised to be nice to people. And I'm not saying warriors can't be nice. It's just, you know,
That reminded me of a joke. Buy a sword, name it kindness, kill people with kindness.
yeah, so how's your sword fighting going? Since we're talking about swords.
Yeah, well, I don't really do much actual sword fighting anymore, but I do lightsabers, as you know.
That episode, and I think we did that about a year and a half ago, maybe longer. Um, a lot of people like that episode. They like the fact that you had the lightsaber, and they're like, wow, a modern day Jedi.
Well,
And
here we go, the
yeah.
return of the Jedi.
But the Jedi have a code.
They
And
do.
and and I think you do too, because every single book that you produce has some type of code. It has some type of connection that somebody can look at and say, wow, okay, this is where I need to go. This is where I need to be. This is who I need to follow, or, you know, and there's guidelines.
Yes, because we need guidelines. We need a moral code to operate because there is a proverb, apparently it's a Viking one, that if you stand for nothing, you would fall for anything.
Mhm.
And it's very true. If you don't have that internal ground, internal core that you can always rely on, then you don't really know what you're doing with yourself and your life and your business.
Right.
So of course you need some sort of um well, guideline, I would say. Something to measure your progress against. Because how do you know you're succeeding if there is nothing to measure it against?
Yeah. I used to not compare myself to others, and I still try not to. Whether they're making more money, whether they have, you know, better cars, whatnot. Um, but I do use it sometimes to inspire me to be better. You know, I know there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there who get jealous of other people's success, but they don't want to work for that success. And I've been doing this for 30 years, and maybe I'm a slow learner, but I'm doing things based on my moral compass, based on, my code, based on, the internal things that I'm thinking about. And yeah, so yeah, sometimes I connect with people. Sometimes I don't. And those times that I don't, yeah, they usually go in the book.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say they probably end up in your books.
But
What are
yeah,
those?
it's we do we society needs to have better role models,
It's true.
and it's not athletics. It's not there's the hero worship of movie stars.
Celebrities, yeah.
Yeah. Although I think Ryan Reynolds is pretty cool, and
Yes.
I admire that he bought the Wrexham football team, and I think he wants to go beyond just being a celebrity. He wants to extend that legacy further and help communities grow. And I think that once you get to a certain level of power, you have to build room for the community.
Absolutely. But if you, you can only do that if you actually have this internal code. Actually, one of my books is called High Purpose Code. You can only do that if you have this internal core clearly defined. Because for most people, actually for many, many people, once they get up high in terms of money, power, influence, they look around and they go like, now what?
Yeah.
I have no idea what to do now, because there isn't really anything in our society that is clearly defined what to do once you become really successful. And actually, some of my students go, your work is exactly what I needed, because once I've achieved all of that, I just didn't know what to do from there. And I just felt like from now on, my life is just stagnation, just slowly moving towards retirement and death, because there wasn't anything else to strive towards.
Hmm.
And then your system showed us that there is actually a higher level. You know what I say? There is always a higher level to play at. And so, with that, I think loads of those people would benefit from having clearly defined code of what it is they stand for. Because you see, money, influence, all of that, it's bling. It's a side effect of what you're really doing. And thing is, for all those people who are super jealous of other people's success or apparent success, I want to say this: you may not want to be in their shoes, because although what they have on the outside may look glitzy, really, you don't know what they're paying for it. And I mean it in real terms, because what happens in our society, and this really sad because it sucks in so many talented people and it kind of destroys them. So in our society right now, there is a strong idea that you have to achieve success in a certain way. So there are clearly defined parameters of what it means to be successful. So let's say, I don't know, 5 penthouses in Dubai and a Lamborghini, and you're successful, right? But thing is, we are unique. We are not just robots. You can't just have a one size fits all happiness or one size fits all success. And unfortunately, what happens with many people, they trade their integrity, their soul, their time of their life, and their actual happiness for those apparent markers of success. And once they get there, they just realize how empty and pointless it is, and they get depressed and they get into drugs and God knows what else. And I find it really sad, because there are loads of ways you can be successful, loads of ways. So a true definition of success for a human being is just this: being able to live as a true you. It doesn't matter what it is, it must be meaningful for you. So if you need millions in the bank to do that, to really live as your true self and to feel um, fully honest with yourself, like you live in your integrity, you live in your truth, whatever you need for it, go for it. Don't look at what other people are doing out there, because they're not you.
Hmm. Yeah, when I came out with the Rob versus stories. Rob versus the scammers was the first book in the series. Everybody encouraged me because I was sharing these stories on Facebook anyway. And there was one person who I looked up to, read this book. And I'm like, well, Rob, it's just a collection of stories. I don't get it. And had I taken that person's opinion, the book would have never happened. The series would have never happened. But I knew that, I thought it was funny. I thought, hey, I need to share this. I don't care about that one person. But the thing is, that one person taught me a valuable lesson. And now I don't even care about who leaves me reviews. I don't care if they're good, they're bad, whatever. I just figure, I'm doing things for me. I'm doing things that I want to do. And so for me, that's success. I'm not
Yes.
allowing society to dictate the terms and conditions of my work.
Yeah. It's brilliant. It actually reminded me, I was talking to Jody earlier today, from the guy of Start the Code.
Mm,
And I love what he does. Taking 1-star reviews and printing them out on t-shirts and everywhere and using them as his marketing material because they're just hilarious. They sometimes so much better
mhm,
than even 5-star reviews because they're super creative and super memorable. And
right.
also, you obviously know Jack Canfield with his book Chicken Soup for the Soul. And I know his story, and he was told the same thing. He was told like, it's just a collection of stories. Nobody ever going to read this. This is so boring. This is pointless. And he went ahead and did it anyway, and he
Mm,
put some own money into it. And guess what? A few years later, it's an international bestseller translated to probably every conceivable language. So sometimes other people's opinion is not the qualified opinion we should be listening to.
yeah, and I look at entrepreneurs, even startups. They have this desire, they have this passion, they have this idea that they're going to start something, and all the naysayers are going, well, the average startup collapses
Yeah.
9 months or a year, 2 years. The
Yeah.
average entrepreneur doesn't make it. I've been an entrepreneur for 30 years. This is all I know at this point. I can't do anything else, but
Same.
it's I've been doing this for so long that I've learned lessons and I'm happy to share them with people. The problem is people don't want to listen. We live in this world of instant gratification, and people don't want to go from step 1 to 10. They want to go from step 1 to 5 to 9. They just skip steps. And I was like, dude, there's a progression. You got to do
Mm.
this to do this. No, they don't want to. They take all the shiny object tools that are out there in hopes that they can make their instant millions. But there again, you have money that you got by skipping all these steps, but you have no gratification and or gratitude that you've earned this the right way, and then you're never happy.
Mm. But it's also what separates the winners from the losers, isn't it? Because if you don't show up consistently, if you're not willing to put in the work and the effort, then certain things just don't happen. And it's not because there is some mysterious rule or a curse on startups that they have to all collapse within 9 months. It's just simply because many people look out there thinking, oh, that's going to be easy. And then when they see that it isn't, it's possible, but just not easy,
Hmm.
they pull out. And I think that's kind of a natural selection, in a way, because some people develop that mental resilience and they want to become better and they want to succeed, and they do. And people who are not willing to do the work, well, then they become the consumers.
Hmm. Talking about consumers, you've kind of switched. I guess when you started out, you were helping everybody, but then you said, okay, I'm going to just focus on men. And that's great. I think that there needs to be more people out there that do that because we can be chaotic people. We can be stubborn. We can, uh, heck, I know I'm stubborn. Um, but I think we need direction. And sometimes we can't get that direction from our family. We can't get it from our spouses. We can't get it from our children. Our children call us fools because they think they know more than us. But here you are, you're being that guiding light, that beacon of hope.
I do my best.
But what made you focus on men versus women? Because I mean, it's just I know that there was a lot of women that focus just on that, and but there's not a lot of people that just focus solely on helping men.
Well, for one, men are awesome. And secondly, for purely practical reasons, my programs are designed in a way that are most suited for the male mind. They empower men on their journey because the way a male and a female mind perceive reality is actually quite different. And the way they process information, the way they learn, and the tools that they require to succeed are also different. And so I respect that. And I don't really feel that I could serve female audience as well as some other teachers out there. However, with the male audience, I understand how male mind works. And I've been doing this work for a very long time, for over 20 years, 25 years now, maybe. And so I not only understand how to put things right, not only do I have the tools that, oh my God, my students tell me the most incredible stories. And you know what? A few of them came to me later and said, thank you. You've actually saved my life. I'm serious. And it's like, it's one of the most humbling things to hear because, when someone really feels stuck and there is nothing out there to help them, that can be very painful because you don't know where to go. You don't know who to even turn to. Because
Mhm.
what most people don't realize right now, as it stands, almost the entire sphere of self-development, the entire industry is actually geared towards women. They don't talk about it explicitly, but the way they teach, what they teach, and how they teach it actually takes men away from their masculine core. It actually makes them lesser men. And I don't know if they do it on purpose or not. I'm not going to go into conspiracy theories, but it is what it is. And so with many men, especially younger ones, because when you're young, you don't really have that defined sense of identity yet. You're just looking around thinking, should I be this? Should I be that? Should I just copy the Stoics and become a new Marcus Aurelius?
Mhm.
And because there is just so much noise out there. And another unfortunate thing is that those people who claim to teach the art of masculinity, and I'm not putting down their work, I know that they're probably doing their best, but the problem with what they're doing collectively is that they try to cosplay the
Mhm.
ideas of masculinity from the eras that went way back. And I mean way back, 2000 years ago, 100 years ago. So someone from the 19th century, early 20th century, a Victorian gentleman or a soldier or a hero, warrior, this kind of archetypes, they're not actually relevant in the new era. And I'm not saying that the qualities are not relevant, but the way they express differs from one era, one epoch to the next. Because you see, look around, everything is different, right? We live in a completely different society from even 50 years ago, never
Right.
mind 100 years ago. And the roles, the needs, the desires are drastically different right now from what they were even at the generation of our parents, never mind our grandparents, never mind further back. And so what I try to explain to guys is that, those people you're trying to cosplay, they had a very different mindset. They have they were not a TikTok generation. They had no idea, or they would have no idea how to function in today's world. So some of their ideas may look cool, but they're no longer applicable because every era of human consciousness has a different way of expressing the sense of masculinity and femininity as well. It's just different. It's
Mhm.
like, imagine this, that there is like a lamp, right? And there are different filters. So the light may be a different color. It can be projected into different shapes, and it's still the same light, but according to this new time, it's just being expressed differently. And I find it personally really sad that so many young guys have no idea about this. This is why I'm all over podcast trying to make them understand that the masculinity of the new era is very different. The man
Mhm.
of the new era is not so much a warrior or a king. Those words are being used so much when they try to entice men in. The man of the new era is actually a superhero. He's a bender of realities. So he is a king, but he is a king of his own mind, of his world, and a reality bender, like an avatar, like a Jedi, something like that. We don't actually have a concept yet, so I'm hoping we'll have a clearer idea of it soon. But essentially, it's someone who unlocks the higher levels of his mind. And yeah, this is why they sometimes call me a real life Jedi, because you see, we all have those superpowers, so to speak,
Mhm.
those higher faculties of our mind. You know how sometimes you kind of know that someone's going to call, and then 2 minutes later they call you? So this lower level clairvoyance can actually be developed, and you can use it for all sorts of things. And there is a lot more. Like, there is a lot more. And you can and should bend reality. This is why right now all books about manifestation and some such are super popular, because people can sense that there is truth behind it. They don't maybe know how to unlock it fully. This is what I teach in my program. Actually, my latest book, which is called The God Flow Method, teaches you how to transform yourself into a real life superhero in 4 weeks.
Wow.
And it's amazing. My students loved it, and they have changed even visually. You know what? I had guys who look 20 years younger in a couple of weeks. It's incredible. So this is what the man of the new era is like.
20 years younger. That's tough.
Well, if you want to,
Yeah.
we can all do that. You know what people say, like, oh, they think that I'm in my 20s, right? I'm like early 20s, and I'm like, how old are you? And they're like, I'm 27. And I'm like, well, twice your age.
I just turned 55, and it's funny because my oldest daughter, who is 35, we go into a bar and she'll get carded. I'll get carded. And I'm like,
Same.
am I getting carded? Can't you tell
Yeah.
I'm 55?
Yep.
Yeah, it's and the first time I took her when she turned 21, we took her out to dinner to get her first drink because over here you got to be 21. And they didn't card her, but they carded me, and I'm like, I'm her dad. No, so
See,
yeah,
there are drawbacks. There are drawbacks of being an immortal.
yeah. And the thing is, I always, the Highlander movie was always my favorite. I always dreamt of being this immortal person, but I'm thinking, wow, that's I wouldn't mind being 100, maybe even 200, but I think above that, I don't know if I could take it because
Yeah, it gets boring after a
all your
while, right?
friends would be dead, all your grandkids would be dead, so
Oh,
it's
you teach them to be immortal
yeah,
too.
you'd
You
have
know, you
to,
just keep rolling.
yeah. But it's great to have you back on the show because I can see your evolution too. You've gone from just having a few books. Now you have a whole bunch of them, but your core message has never changed. You still want to help people, especially men, discover who they are. And it's like we kind of said, I had this vision of who I thought I was, that warrior type, but it's not. It's It's the minstrel because I'm the one sharing the stories now. Um, but even in culture, you know, in the 80s and early 90s, all the superheroes were these big bulky guys, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Stallone. Now
Yes.
all the superheroes are skinny people that you know just look like everybody else
With superpowers, though.
with superpowers. Yeah. I mean, if you compare Spider-Man now to you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger 20 years ago, I mean, he's small, he's slender, he's a kid. You know, that those are the heroes we're gravitating towards.
Yes, because the energy of the new time actually forces us to do so. We don't have a say, and this is why it's so interesting to watch what's going on. Because you might know this, there is a name for it. They call it the era of Aquarius. Essentially, every 2,000 years, the quality of time changes, so to speak. It's like a cosmic season, the easiest way to understand that. So imagine when the quality of time changes, we actually exist in time like fish exist in water, and it colors everything we do. It colors our minds, our thoughts, our feelings. So we are immersed in that energy of time. And so once it changes, we don't actually have a say. We are like fishes that just go with the flow, go with that stream. And if that current goes into a different direction, which it does right now, we just have to follow. And notice how many people tried to fight against self-development and called names and laughed at it, and look at them now. They're doing it too, because the energy of the new time is like, that's it, you level up, you become a superhero. But I don't want it. No questions asked, just go into it. And so the triggers, if you know what the energy of the new time is about, you actually can have the upper hand. Because if you go first, if you understand what you're doing, you win, right? And that's why that's the beauty of knowing more, because
Mhm.
you can map out your past consciously.
You know, you mentioned Jack Canfield earlier, and you know, I love his books. I have a lot of them. But you know, there's I think that we gravitate towards self-development to the people that I think resonate best with us. You know, I was never a fan of Tony Robbins, and I know that that's gonna, you know, upset somebody out there. But his way of doing things just never jived with me, you know.
He's a warrior type,
Yeah, you know, but
big booming voice building empires.
yeah, he's got to have his voice out there, and but you know, Jack, I don't think Jack ever uh did things the way Tony did or does. You know, his style is different. He's more laid back, you know, and you know, he bends over backwards to help people.
Well, that's an example of things done right, because that's the beauty of you doing you.
Mhm.
Imagine if Jack Canfield thought, nah, I'm not good enough. I gotta be like Tony Robbins. I should emulate him. Everything he does, I'll just copy. Like many guys in the entrepreneur space, they're like, oh, look, this guy is successful. I better copy everything he does. And that would be just like, nobody would be interested. Nobody would know about him, because people who love Tony Robbins would go to Tony Robbins, and
Mhm.
people who would love Jack Canfield wouldn't be able to find him, because they wouldn't be a true Jack Canfield. And so being aligned with your truth is so important. Knowing what it is you stand for, what your soul truly wants, what your soul guild is really key to success.
So what other books do you have out there? I mean, I see you have a bookshelf now full of all your
Right. Well, I have some. I don't really have all my books actually. So I have this, which is a high purpose code. This book actually helps you map out what it is you stand for. So inside there is I don't know. I don't
your
think you will be
chapter on
able to see
sarcastic
it.
guys.
Yeah, exactly. How to be sarcastic. So inside there is questionnaire with 35 questions that you can answer, and you will get radical clarity on what your soul really wants deep down. So you don't have to guess, you don't have to just, with trial and error, you can just move straight there, which I think is super important because our time here is limited. And so there is only so much time we can spend on trial and error. And if you can take a good shortcut, I think you should. Now, another book is The Superhero's Journey. It's got a new cover now, but I love this
You didn't
book
like the other cover?
because it's essentially it's like a hero's journey, but for male entrepreneurs of the new era. And so it's a story about a guy in his early 30s called Mike who achieved what people told him success would be, but he just feels like, I don't know, it's like they missold me. It just doesn't feel right. It feels empty. I feel that I'm meant for something more, something else, but he couldn't put a finger on what that else can be until one day he met a very mysterious mentor. So I would recommend this book to all entrepreneurs, male entrepreneurs out there, to check this out and the transformation they could achieve through this book, because it's not just a story, by the way. It is a story, but you get to learn with that character, because like in the Plato's dialogue, um, the dialogues between Socrates and his students, that's the same format. When student is asking his teacher and the teacher replies, it's very engaging, almost like our interview kind of format, and I love this. And this book, which also has a new cover now, they change covers, so you can get limited editions. Actually, one of my readers has all 5 covers of this book.
And I think
So
I think I have one of them in the back there.
yes, you do. Yes, you do. I can't
Mhm.
see it from here, but I'm sure you do.
There's a lot of them. Like people send me stuff. There it is.
Oh, there it is.
There it is.
Oh, hello, old cover.
Yeah.
Yay. Yeah, so this is a very interesting story as well, and some people compare it to The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, in that it's a story. It starts in Tokyo, where I used to live. I love Tokyo. So it starts in Tokyo, and then it goes into adventures through time and space. But really, although you get to fly dragons and save princesses and do all the things that you're supposed to in a good storybook, but really, it's about 3 young warriors who are looking for their way in life. And again, they find a teacher who was a very unlikely teacher to, say, show them the way of the force, to really tell them what being a true, powerful man really is, and how to live their purpose, how to unlock it within yourself, that true clarity and desire and power. So I love that. And then lastly, these two actually dovetail into each other, because this one is referenced. Actually, I will get a better one, a better cover. This one is referenced in this one. So Codex Imperis is about developing this internal moral code. So again, you don't need any guesswork. You just read through this book, you find out what resonates with you, and you create your own version based on what you've learned and based what's applicable to you specifically as a person. So it's like a custom made moral code, but you have all the ingredients in here. So personal transformation on steroids.
So, a lot of common themes there. So, I think everybody has to get all the books.
Yes, they should. They totally should. And they look really nice together as well. I won't be able to hold them all, but I try.
Oh, you
Yeah,
got this one. This one take you a while to read it. Well, for me, just a couple hours, but it's got some heft to it, which means that there's a lot of good stuff in here. And
there is.
yeah,
It's now also an audiobook and dramatized audio series. So dramatized audio series are fantastic. They're by a British company called Be Here, like Be and Here.
Sure.
Because it's like Netflix but without pictures. So you just close your eyes and every character has their own voice because it's been narrated by professional actors and they added sound effects as well. So it's like a movie, but you can close your eyes and just watch it within your head. It's fantastic.
Wow. That's incredible. So how do people find you? Where do they go?
Well, they go to my website, which is neweraSuperhero.com. But they can also reach out to me on Instagram, which is also neweraSuperhero.com, and just say Rob, and I will know to send them some good stuff, because the Godflow state that I've just launched is an incredible tool for transformation. Like, you wouldn't believe how quickly it works. I can send you a copy too. Everyone loved it so far. So if you want a free copy of this method, just reach out to me on Instagram and I'll send it to you.
You know, I post to Instagram a lot. Well, it's auto posted through my scheduler. I don't really get on there much. And but I know a lot of people do. And you know, for me it's always been LinkedIn. And I think right now I have
LinkedIn works, yeah. If you prefer LinkedIn, by all means, I'm on LinkedIn as well. And I'm GH Stepley. So there is only one GH Stepley on LinkedIn,
on the planet.
which makes it easy. I believe so.
Only one. There can be only one. See?
Exactly. There
I
can
had to
be
throw a
only
Highlander
one.
reference in there.
Yep.
Well, this was awesome. And everybody, please go out and grab the books. Well, you can't get this one now because the cover's changed, but you can get the book.
Limited edition.
This is yeah, this is awesome. Now I have something that's a collectible because it doesn't have this cover anymore.
Yes, you
But
do.
yeah, grab all the books because they're going to give you direction. They're going to give you an idea of who you are and where you want to be in life. So this was awesome. And guys, everybody, pay attention. Go to the website, newerasuperhero.com. And we'll see you guys on the next episode. Adios.
Thank you so much.